We hear that word burnout all the time, right? But what if the way we think about it is just completely wrong? Today, we're going to tear apart what burnout really is, and way more importantly, how you can actually escape it for good. And you know what? It all starts with one single idea that might flip everything you thought you knew.
And this, right here, is the big idea. See, burnout isn't really about the long hours or the massive workload. No. It's about your work completely taking over, becoming the only reason you get up in the morning. Getting your head around this, one shift in perspective, well, that's the key to everything else we're about to talk about.
All right, so first things first, let's talk about the biggest mistake we all make when we think about burnout. We treat it like it's just being really, really tired, but it's so much deeper than that. It isn't just a condition, it's a signal.
And wow, framing it like this is a total game changer, right? Burnout is basically an alarm bell going off in your head and your body, screaming that you've been stuck in must mode for way too long. You're just running on obligations, on all the things you have to do, and you've totally lost sight of can mode. That's the space where you have choices, where there's possibility, where you actually feel interested in things.
And that just cuts right to the heart of the paralysis, doesn't it? The real problem isn't that you've forgotten how to take a vacation. It's this deep, nagging fear that if you take your foot off the gas for even a second, the whole thing is going to come crashing down. Because it feels like you're the only one holding it all together.
Okay, so if it's not just about being bone tired, what does burnout actually feel like? I think most of us imagine this big, dramatic, spectacular crash. But the reality, it's often the complete opposite. It's quiet, almost eerily quiet.
Yeah, we all picture this huge, explosive catastrophe, sirens blaring, everything on fire. But the reality is a quiet silence. It's this apathy that just creeps in. All that internal noise, the drive, the anxiety, the passion, all of it just fades out into this weird, empty quiet.
And this just nails that feeling perfectly. Your to-do list is still there. The goals you wrote down for yourself, they're still on the page. But the fire behind them, that emotion, the excitement, the actual reason you set them in the first place, is just gone. You become a machine just checking off boxes.
So let's get real about what's going on inside your head. You wake up and there's just nothing. No desire for anything. But you're still doing all the things, you're still functioning, so to everyone else you look totally fine. But on the inside, the space for your actual self, for your own wants, your own joy, is just shrinking and shrinking, until you don't even know why you're on the treadmill anymore. Okay, so we've talked about what it feels like, but what about the why? Why does this happen? The crucial insight here is that burnout isn't some kind of personal failure. It's not about you not being tough enough. It's a fundamental problem with the system you've accidentally built around yourself.
Listen, the real reason for burnout, the absolute core of it, is that you hold everything yourself. You've become a single point of failure. You're not just a piece of the puzzle anymore, you are the entire puzzle. And any system that relies on just one component, well, it's pretty much guaranteed to break down eventually.
This car analogy just makes it so clear. Just think about it for a second. You're not just the driver making the big decisions. Nope, you're also the engine that's providing all the power. You're the fuel keeping the whole thing going. And you're the steering wheel trying to give it all direction. You're literally trying to be every single critical part of the car all at once. It's completely unsustainable. And this is a really important distinction to make. This isn't just about your to-do list. It's not just about delegating tasks. It's about shouldering the entire emotional weight of the operation. You don't just do the work. You absorb and internalize all the stress, all the worry, and all the pressure that comes along with it. All right, I know that was all pretty heavy. That's the diagnosis. But here's the good news. There is a way out. And it's not about just working less. It's about becoming more resilient, more strategic. It's about building a brand new skill. The skill you need to build, the real superpower here, is something called flexibility. But look really closely at this definition. This isn't about giving up. It's about having the strength to stop, to hit the reboot button on your whole system, and then approach your goals from a new angle, all while keeping that ambition totally intact. It's a strategic move, not a white flag of surrender. So how do you do it? How do you actually get flexible? Well, it all comes down to these 3 simple, powerful steps. Number 1, and this is the absolute hardest part, you have to give yourself permission to just stop. Then you reboot. Clear the slate, reset the system. And finally, you intentionally, strategically choose a new angle of attack.
If you're an ambitious person, you really need to hear this. Let this one sink in for a second. Taking a pause is not failure. Pausing is not a betrayal of your dream. It is a necessary, strategic, and frankly intelligent part of any journey to success that's actually built to last.
And that's really what it all comes down to, isn't it? Choosing a path that doesn't completely destroy you isn't betraying your goal. In fact, it's the only way you're ever going to get there. So the real question you have to ask yourself, looking at the system you've built, is what path are you going to choose?